we, the world chaplain, we're gonna go into, go into the revealing and more on the revelations, some current events, and nation out to the people. No, we usually start with letting everyone pretty much come in and meditate, and in that chamber within their heart where we all meet. We like to give, those who want to take. True peace. True peace. True peace. Let's see if we got this lecture streaming. We're seeing pretty much all over the media past week, because it's something that is prevalent to what's going on now, and we need to take heed to, and the split within our community for is in power and in place, you know, right now under this Trump administration. And it's still America, it's still the same. So we can't forget, that are taking place while these distractions are, pretty much happening. Continuation of what's going on with these children, the water and Flint. Music Modernization Act was just passed, uh, in this past week. So things that, we continue to put our energy to, but we ignore, and the repercussions of these things that are coming to pass, which we'll keep going over as we go through this revealing, because what you are going to see, we're actually living, you know, touching on these things that are, becoming repeats of history, paying attention to the points that are being made, regardless of the fact of who these people are, what their reputation is. And no, I'm not saying follow them. We must understand and, not get too heavily involved. It's just, it's the same. He was allowed, something that has been spoken on, or, in a dire need for action, towards changing that. He was allowed that opportunity to actually, now it's a public thing. So, the more and more these struggles of minorities come out into the light, we will begin to see more of what's, happening and taking place is nothing but history repeating itself, and or revealing itself to those who have, feel like they've been here before spiritually and esoteric. So this is something that is just, a repeat for them, or a breaking of a cycle, could even be, as some may see, um which in essence for everyone it actually is, when we dive into actual text. So I want to go. We'll open it up with the actual prayer that's in the book. O heavenly ones, the sustainer of all the duty you have lain on us to clean the filth made by the West and its non-submitting fools. My sustainer, we beat you, keep your hand over us to control the stream and for all. So this prayer or anthem for all was described and include other forms of the ideologies. He, went in and, pretty much balanced the ideology, colloquial and information and scientific information, more up-to-date scientific information, for the schools of, so they could have a more proper alignment with their knowledge or their, their ideology or philosophy with a and scientific and information behind it. So this is an actual personal note coming up. Sorry about that. 712-775-7453. And feel free to ask questions. We could answer those questions for you if you have any questions about what's being all truths to be revealed. So this is pretty much him explaining the reasons for the translations and just clearing up you know information is standing on the basis of where it's coming from, and how you yourself can do your own research and pretty much verify the same information journeys. He says no man is worthy from Theos, who is Anu Eliun El, or God. This man is none other myself, the translator, Dr. Malachi Z. York. The only linguistic skill one. I spent over rating myself in religion, Muhammadism, Christianity, Christism, Judaism, also called Mosesism, Egyptology, Sumerian. However, much more than this is necessary in order to give the interpreted God, who is Anu Elo, or also from reading the book of Revelations. For those that did not catch the last couple sermons on Facebook, I mean Facebook, that are now watching from YouTube, because to go live this week on YouTube, Facebook for some reason, but from Facebook, call that number or leave a comment on, which we have some, looking at that, and I can wait. But continuing on, he continues on saying, I am able to do this because I have been gifted with the ability to use Galatians 2:12. The two-edged sword represents the ability, because I am able to translate the precise meaning of the Arabic to English, and then from Greek into English. When you read this translation of the book of Revelation, you are reading it from the original form. And scrolls of the caves which were discovered in 1947 AD, records of the Old Testament, some of them in the Aramic language, while others in the Hebrew language. And scrolls are associated with the Essenes, who founded a strict religious community off the northwestern of the Dead Sea Scroll, of the Dead Sea of Jordan. Sorry. Jesus was a member of the Essenes, and in fact is and it is a fact, that he and his disciples Adamic Hebrew, the meanings of the book of Revelation. So this is why we're reading this, making sure everyone gets this understanding. We'll continue forward with reading into the book of Revelations and giving out the happening this in this day and time, and those who are waking up to their normal spiritual level of thinking and on consciousness, you know they could begin to grasp, and just open eye on what's taking place out and around them. Word revelation in Greek, itself revealing, you must understand that the intentions of the book of Revelation is to uncover or make known. There is nothing in this book that should be hidden. But if the so-called religious scholars only go to the English translation, they will not be able to give you the correct interpretation. John was in the Lord's day. This day and time is a time in which the visions that John was seeing in 96 AD is coming to pass. John was seeing a revision of what is in the book of Malachi 4:6, where it states, and I quote, "And he shall turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the hearts of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse." And the destruction that was coming. So he's realizing this, you know, an event that is to come to place at a certain time. And then, those times it will always be, you know, at the end of, the peak and rise of a civilization. Last week we left off on, we want to continue off here for then, what we will be, so, you know, for between the Quran and the book of Revelations, and helping those understand, better about what's taking place, like I said, in today's current events, and help them understand the civic lessons of our spiritual gathering, and understand these premises and precepts, that are just natural formulas. We'll continue on here and just reading on, and reading through the translated versions and the interpretation that's coming from the translated versions, all compiled into one. What's actually being said from all of these translations up to today's time, and what these things are conveying in English, as well as the actual languages that they were written and revealed in. So verse 5, Earth reborn of the dead and the head of the rulers of the planet Earth, he who loved us and was washed in wrongdoings by his Christos in the Greek translation, and from Isa al-Masih, the truthful witness, in the Arabic translation, and the Hebrew, the witness, and the first begotten of the dead, and of the kings of the. So what this is actually saying in interpretation, because of the way he propagated the oneness of the Most High, I knew in the spirit, who spring up and become his true followers, the ones who were once dead because they were ignorant of who they are in their true way of life. Those that once lived the life of the evil reptilian, Zuan, also known as the devil or the serpent, the first anointed priest after the ancient mystic, and the head of the rulers of the. He who loved us in wrongdoings by his own blood, which is symbolic of his constant. Those who give up living in the image, these 7 tests are pretty much described below: the test of sincerity, the heroism, divine love, and conquering your human emotions or your ego, which is also, these are the things that you read when you're readings of the King James Version that was written or put out in 1611. And here in the end, you see the test of Yahshua, all saying the same thing. A picture says 1,000 words. Kingdom and priest for his adopted father Theos, who has the majesty and authority forever and ever. Amen. And spell Amen, Amane, or Amen, and Meen and Arabic. So interpretation goes, and he, the Messiah Jesus, or Sananda, which is Yahshua's angelic name, made us become a kingdom and order of Melchizedek for his adopted father Yahweh, who had the majesty and authority forever and ever. Amen, or amen. We now have true faith, which is what the word amen actually means. Is coming upon the clouds, and every one of you that has eyes will see him, and those smote him also, even every tribe of the planet. Interpretation of this, extraterrestrials, UFOs, and um you know extra dimensional beings, or high frequency entities, or higher dimensional entities and things like that. So, obviously, all cultures have this connection with the unseen, or ETs or angels, whatever your view on the breakdown has been. Even if you were to look at this in a a atheist point of view, to where nature, or you may believe in a higher power, some atheists do, extraterrestrials and things like that. But you know, that, you know, we do live in a vast universe. So it would be naive to think that there is not, more highly advanced, entities and beings throughout the universe, or that are out there. So this is too hard, even in that sense. So on the clouds as a symbol of the 144,000 elite few who will be garbed in white in the crystal city, the mothership Nibiru, planet of the crossing. You that has eyes will see him and have to bear witness to the return of the Messiah Jesus. And those who smote him, the Jews who betrayed him, also even planet Earth will cry for their own, for his, for those that are not of these two groups, the 144,000 elite few, or the followers of the real Messiah, will suffer and be very unhappy when the Messiah Jesus returns. Oh yes, Amun, we now have true faith. The other UFOs see. So continuing on 8, it says, I am the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, the beginning and the ending, said Theos, which was, and which is to come, the Almighty. And in the Arshuric translation, it goes, the first letter in Creator who exists right now, able to be found in ancient times, and who will be in the end, God all things. So here he has it translated, which is to come, the Almighty El Shaddai Metatron, which is the particular angel that was written in that portion of these revealings. So that deeper esoteric portions of this doctrine you may want to look into. Um, I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the ending, said the Lord, which is and which was and which is to come, the Almighty. This is the mistranslation for King James, who was pretty much going crazy. And so we all know the Shakespearean story, you know, in the times of King James and the Europe, or added with the uh it's real prevalent to look into the text. I would like to say explanation, because 2 plus 2 equals 4, and there's only one way to explain it, which is 2 plus 2 equals 4. So, or a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So, the variables that are put in place, and you know, is what's going to show if. Moving on to verse 9, it says, I, John, am a brother and a partner in the hard times. Those hard times, uh, pretty much for those that are paying attention to the apocalyptic events that are taking place, you know, these hard times are what's being mentioned right here. And the kingdom and the patience by way of the Christos Eosis, as it says in the Greek version, while I was on the island which is called Patmos, for the sake of Theos, God's words, and a testimony of Iosis Christos, Jesus Christ. The Arabic version reads, I, Johanna, or Johanna, am your brother of you all and a partner in the hard times, in the kingdom, and the patience in the Messiah Isa, while I was in the island which is called of Allah's word, and a testimony of Isa. And it reads the same thing in Hebrew. I, Yochanan Bar Zebedee, am a brother of you all and a partner in the hard times and the kingdom and the patience by way of Yahshua HaMashiach, while I was on the island which is called Patmos, for the sake of Yahweh of the Elohim's words and a testimony of Yahshua HaMashiach. So the mistranslated version, it reads, who also am your brother and companion in tribulation and in the kingdom and patience of Jesus Christ, was in the isle Patmos for the word of God and for the testimony of. So we were seeing a pretty much distinct pattern that is gonna be played out as we continue to read these scriptures week to week. And which is that, like I said, for those deeper, it's the same angelic force or energies that resonate, within your immediate tribes or or the culture of your ancient peoples. And however far back you can trace your DNA and whatever level you are at, you're gonna constantly run into these same names or the same variations of the same spellings for deities and or ancestral forces, powers, and things like that. So the more that gets revealed moving forward, what we want to understand, how these same revealings is taking place from now till then, from dealing with the situation with the Isles of Patmos and things that have happened even recently with the translator of this text, because he received a lot of strife from bringing out information and knowledge and truths that have been pretty much suppressed by other regimes and other forces across the planet, and especially here in America, and especially with other leaders like Elijah and Dr. Martin Luther King and or Marcus Garvey or any other our tribal leaders that came amongst our black, brown, and yellow Asiatic brothers and sisters. So we must go in depth into our sacred text, and we'll be going in depth into like every week that we go on, continue on the revelations, and then move forward. We're gonna dive into the Qur'an, which is the actual continuation of the book of Revelations. So we're starting out, going through these revealings and then moving forward to getting people, getting people to understand across the globe where we're at in this day and time, in the now time, as a global village and as a people, and what we could do to progress and move forward, with practical solutions, which is, as the world chaplain, to make sure that we, move forward in a progression, in a progressional body as a people, and no longer will, we just be, moving with just, the influence of our spirituality that really connects us on a civil level. And, the world temple, here we offer for people to come in and get naturalized and become world citizens. First becoming world civilians and then becoming world citizens if they so but to. Which takes still, it takes no uh nothing from your self-determination or your sovereignty as a people. uh we advocate for this, you know uh naturalization first, because even before becoming a world citizen or any joining any nation, Moorish nation, indigenous nation, Indian nation, any supranational government, the US or China or Manchuria, which is another the old ancient nations of China. Whatever nation it is that you're joining, you go through some type of baptismal or naturalization process. And in the church in ancient times, before we, have this understanding of what we have today, uh, like we're getting the revealing of, with the message that was sent to John from in the Isles of Patmos from, a particular being of the ancient mystic order of the priesthood of, nature itself. Um, these messages were coming through for him to pass on about the things that, we're actually talking about right now, and things that have been taking place right now. And this is you know like I said, what's going to be seen as we continue to move forward, you know with these revealings. um these same tests, um in actuality, is what I want to touch on, because we're actually going through these tests over and over again. And for those who've seen it, sincerity, um getting rid of our ego as a people. And this is, one of the toughest things, not just for the average person, but for, a person who is striving to be a leader. And this is who our messages go out to, as the world temple. We're constantly giving this call out from the wilderness to all the world's leaders and the leaders of the world today. um we want everyone to be politically active throughout the global village, and it does not matter what your political philosophy is. This is the reason why part of the global village, and being that global spiritual center for the global village. uh you know this is why we advocate for the Nucratic philosophy, because what that philosophy based upon is the actual origins of, all social systems itself, especially all political systems. It's the actual ontological philosophy behind all of these political platforms. So, what better way to bridge, all platforms under one with this, particular platform. And if you go to our Facebook group on Facebook, which is all you gotta do is type in World Temple or New Unified Temples, um, you're gonna find and see that's NU Unified Temples. You're gonna see in the group when you join, we have these things in there. So you could go, and look at the actual forms that's in there, and get the information that's actually, being provided to the global village. And just take up, your divine purpose and duties, as the leaders, and that, even just, those that are just members of the congregations, because I want every member here in the world get each and every in some kind of manner, whether they're leading a household or, you know, leading a business, you know, it's all the same, or organization. So, we all want to move forward, uh, with understanding that our different, political ideologies and philosophies should not separate us, which is something I seen Michelle Obama and, um, in an article today, mentioning about, you know, George Bush, which, typically most people would think, these two parties are at ends with each other, but there's no, you know, uh, opposition there. She considers him, as she said in her own words, her partner in crime. I'm not gonna go to what she mean by that personally, but hey, you know what Trump would like to say about that. But nonetheless, um, we should not let these ideologies divide us and the true mission that we have as a people to serve the people. And uh, you may feel, personally, those of you throughout the world congregation, about these particular individuals, and I can't disagree, nor agree, because they're leaders in their own manners, so in some fashion, I do agree they can't fulfill certain capacities for everybody, and particular forms of leadership they might not be able to fulfill for everybody, that that may come through and listen to these sermons and get the information, and or bring to the world congregation, bring to the table, and what we have to offer the world and the global village. So, you know as I was saying, the Nucratic philosophy is what we advocate for. So, if you go into the actual World Temple chat, I mean the Facebook group that we have, also you'll see the links on our fan page for the all party system that we are a part of, and we're also a part of the World Leaders Forum. We are actually the spiritual body for the world leaders, and also the Global Spiritual Center for the International Parliament and the U.S. Parliament, and also the World Parliament and other parliaments that you know will be a part of joining the World Parliament. So, you know, um, this is things that you could look into. You also, like I said, want to learn more about naturalization. You can go and you need to go to the website, but it's going to take you to also to the Facebook group to get more information. Um, or to get the files for the naturalization form to download them. So you can join in, ask questions, network as a guest, and become an official member within our temple network, by joining the network. And we also have it to where, for those that would like to be ordained and lead their own congregation to do so, and put the message out for people, throughout the global village to get politically active. You must be the change that you want to see, in the mirror or around you. And, there's much that we have, like I said, as a world temple, and a system of unified temples, um, which we like to call our sanctified temples. So, you can understand, you know, the background of our philosophy, which is pretty much natural philosophy based, which we are all a part of nature. Out to those that are leaders, please go back and look, what we read over this week in the Injiyl. We're gonna from where we left off. Um, and I'm gonna go back over what I read in verse 12 last in the last sermon before this one, about the revealings and what's taking place, throughout the world. The government, all the governments, in the dire need for reformation. For that, our political systems need reformation, which I'm a part of working on with the all-party system, and our Nucratic philosophy, and establishing the Nucratic Party in the World Parliament. Uh, and just also getting other things done. You know, Reforming our financial system, which this has been coming out, real heavy for those that haven't been paying attention to what's going on, in the global economy. The markets are crashing. The market is pretty much, it's been down, but of course, that's not a bad thing. But for people that know how to, stay above the water. But this time things are getting a little different because we are now in the middle of a financial reformation or revolution, what have you. And us as the world congregation, we are actually participants in the forefront of this. So those that would like to learn more, about what's going on with the financial reset, and the things that's happening with the banking system, and the changes that are coming. We all know, the history of the Illuminati, and those that were put in control of the banking system, and the Rothschilds and things like that. And just the spiritual history that goes uh behind that as well, because it's much that a lot of people, week by week we'll be putting out more information on what's going on with these things, and giving out the information that's needed for us to connect and establish and maintain our civil societies through the civil unrest, that will take place as the coming crashes in the market, that that's pretty much being blatantly put out there by the IMF, and all the different organizations that are representatives, you know in the international community and world over. So please feel free to reach out to me, all world leaders, all members of the world congregation, and or the local temples of the world temple, and local churches and synagogues, things like that are connected into the global spiritual center in the world temple network. And so I look forward to hearing from you all. Well, we'll pretty much finish off where we left off. Peace and blessings to you all. See you all next week.